broadcast to millions and millions of people. But what's valuable is the other side of this. How many? See, it's not how many people you're connected to, it's who you're connected to. And that's the win here, is understanding who, not how many. So you have 225 people following you on Twitter, and then I get the question, does that mean we suck? And the answer is, it means you suck if you don't know who they are. You see, people are actually self-identifying themselves online through platforms and profiles, etc. That's where the opportunity is for you. They're actually saying things, they're actually asking questions, things that your brands may provide or things that might be ancillary, but you can actually leverage it to be more effective with them, to connect to them. So the win for you is to actually shift your mindset a little bit when you're implementing these tools and pushing them forward. And it's not to think of how many people am I getting my message in front of, but who. And when you can start nurturing that who list, that's where the value becomes, because then you can create those real interactions with real human beings. You might have heard I'm Canadian, so I had to throw some Canadian content up there, otherwise the government puts me in jail. You may not have known this, Kids in the Hall is Canadian, right? But have you heard of Kids in the Hall, H-A-U-L? Have you heard about Hall videos? Have you seen these in action? Here's the new consumer in action.
Hey guys, so I'm going to do my most requested video of all time at this moment, and that is an updated What's in My Purse video. I'm going to do this one since I'm here and it's hard to do tutorials. So this is the bag. I know it looks like a suitcase because it's like stuffed full. This is a Balenciaga. This is the Giant Hardware part-time city bag, I believe. And I got this when I went to Atlanta. It was a...
I will not force you to watch all that, don't worry. I saw people who were like, is he going to do the whole 9 minutes? Really? Is this... All That Glitters 21 does, see, you know girls, right? Young girls, they go shopping in malls. They roam like packs of wolves, right? And then when they're done, their kills, they go to the food court. And at the food court, they show off with pride what they've all captured out in the wild, right? And now we have these social tools and we have social media. And so what they do is they don't just share their haul with their friends at the food court. They go online and they broadcast them to the world. And you sort of shake your head, don't you? I can't believe people do this. Well, did you see the little number next to the little boxy over there? Almost 900,000 views. Her and her sister do these haul videos, and they have cumulatively over 250 million views. They have representation out of Los Angeles, and they currently run sponsorships and stuff like that. And they're actual celebrities in this space. Tell me, who's better to talk about your product or service? You, your brochure, or a really satisfied customer, right? And that's the real story here, is that the story of commerce goes beyond this sort of hope and prayer that we're responding in due diligence on Twitter and Facebook to what people are saying. See, the great brands that create brands that people talk about and get excited about, get stories really told about them. 9 minutes of detail about this freaking purse, right? It's like, really? I mean, every little nuance about it, on and on and on and on, that's been viewed almost 1 million times and keeps perpetuating and growing and growing and growing. And we have this new trend called Girl Talk 2.0. Where we suddenly start realizing that in this social world that we live in, all of these conversations that we took for granted about brands, products, and services suddenly become highly distributable, much like those reviews, right? And the thing perpetuates and perpetuates, and it's not just girls, it's people like me. This is the Eagle Creek Tarmac 22, and if you travel, don't believe anything you read in Up in the Air or saw with George Clooney in that movie. Do not get a Travel Pro, no offense if you're in the audience. Get yourself an Eagle Creek Tarmac 22. This is the best carry-on luggage I've ever used. I do about 170,000 miles a year, and I can tell you unequivocally, yes, wait, there's more. This bag rocks because it's 6.5 pounds empty, and it weighs nothing. And so you can pack a lot, and I can do like 10 days to Europe with just a carry-on, and I never have lost luggage, and life is pretty good. And so one day I'm on a book tour with my friend Chris Brogan, who some of you might know from chrisbrogan.com. And he and I are doing, he was launching Trust Agents at the time, and I was launching 6 Pixels of Separation. It's better. Sometimes I get 6 pickles of separation, so I'll take degrees. And so Chris and I are roaming up to the check-in counter, and I put my bag down, and I'm doing my thing, and Chris rolls up and puts his bag down, and suddenly I see a MacBook Air launch through the air like a catapult, and I'm like, what was that? And Chris is like, I hate this new carry-on that I have. Every time I stop, I don't know it's the way it's designed or something, but my laptop that's on top like catapults off of it because it like tilts over. And I'm like, Chris, what are you doing, man? You got to get the Eagle Creek Tarmac 22. And so Chris orders it, and then Chris does this.
Hi, I'm Chris Brogan from chrisbrogan.com. I want to show you something as simple as the suitcase I'm using for travel right now. My friend Mitch Joel told me, I've got just the suitcase for you because I was complaining about my last carry-on. I had a Samsonite suitcase. You'd think pretty darn good, but mine had a little technical flaw. It also had 4 wheels and it kept flipping over. The bigger version of the Samsonite worked perfect. The little one, not so much. This is the Eagle Creek Tarmac 25. I want to show you what's kind of cool about it. It's super small. It's a
All right, so you get the vibe, right? So who's Chris Brogan? If you don't know, if you go to the Ad Age Power 150, which tends to be our benchmark for the nerds who blog in marketing, Chris ranks pretty high. He's usually either number 1 or 2. So he's a dude, as I like to say, right? He's somebody who people want to connect to. They like him. He's a likable guy. And so I started wondering, like, I wonder if Eagle Creek has seen this, right? And so I start wandering around the online world. I'm looking in all the places you might suspect, and I come across a Facebook page for Eagle Creek. So I go in and I tell Eagle Creek, thought you might be interested in this, and I link to the video, to which Eagle Creek responds, thanks, Mitch, for sharing this. Way cool. Potential client, I smell for Radian 6, right? They did nothing wrong. In fact, I would argue that they've done everything right. They're present in the social spaces. Somebody posted and they responded. But they are still somewhat trapped in the mass media complex, right? This is just anyone. It could be any consumer. It's how many, not who. You see, if they would have dug a little bit, they would have seen that maybe I'm kind of a big deal. And maybe Chris Brogan is kind of a big deal. And maybe the fact that Chris keeps tweeting about it and selling it out at Amazon, because every time he tweets about it, they sell like 20 of them, that there's some power and value to this. And so I talk about that to audiences and groups, and then I get a call from Eagle Creek saying, what did we do so wrong? Why are you talking poorly about us, right? And I'm like, I didn't say anything bad about you. It's the misconception. And the misconception is that they're doing something wrong. They're not. But the point is that what you've gone through today has pushed you into this realm where hopefully you're starting to understand that it's not just about how you sort of just respond and thanks consumer. You have to have real interactions with real human beings. And so when Eagle Creek actually reached out to me and has reached out to Chris, we have real relationships now. And the truth of the matter is I don't want anything for free. I'm not asking for anything for free. It's not the point. I got my own money. I can spend my own allowance. Thank you very much. But as a consumer who loves them, I like that feeling. Your consumers who love you like that feeling. Don't be fake with them. Be real with them. Follow them. Engage with them. Connect to them. Use the tools that are readily at your disposal to actually embrace this idea of moving away from how many people we connect our brand to who. Because those 2 who's can take you a lot further than as many how many's as you've been pumping out brochures with that week potentially. Because people really care and they're telling stories. And Chris Anderson from Wired Magazine, who wrote the long and telling piece, says, your brand isn't what you say it is, it's what Google says it is. True or false? Right? We tend to forget. It's like, oh, look at our site and look how we're responding on Twitter. But you know what? There's something else happening. Someone hears about the Eagle Creek Tarmac 22. They do a little search, Google, Bing, Yahoo, and what they look at in that first page of search results is a brand experience, one you don't control, by the way. That first page of search results is a brand experience, and people actually make decisions about whether they're going to move forward or not based on that. But it's getting further away than it just being about SEO and SEM, right? We're in a world now where the conversations get dispersed everywhere. So when I'm online and I say on Twitter, oh, my carry-on has died, what carry-on should I use? There's an opportunity. There are questions that are taking place, and they're happening all over this place. And so when people say, like, oh, we don't have reviews on our site because we're nervous, it's like, I'm like, who cares? Everyone else has them, and they're doing it on their own. Everybody is a publisher. Stop. Blogging is dead. Twitter is dead. Everything's dead, right? No. Every consumer has the ability to have a thought and to publish that thought in text, images, audio, and video instantly and for free to the world. So who cares if I have comments on my blog or if you do? The truth is everybody has comments everywhere. And so if you as a brand are holding back because you're worried about what people will say about you, what you're missing is something bigger, and that something bigger is really the social web, which is if my experience at Amazon is customer reviews and ratings, et cetera, and I go to your site and you don't have it, it's not that you're worse or you're a bad person. It just means that you don't even have the baseline stuff that I'm just so used to having. And so you actually look ineffective to the consumer without even really thinking about it or knowing it to be true. This is Avinash. This is what he looks like. And Avinash, in talking about the story with me in my podcast, and we're friends, he said, you don't control your homepage, Google does. And I thought, leave it to a Google employee to say this. And then at the time, the truth is he was just a consultant, so he wasn't a full-timer. But if you know Avinash, it's not Google, it's Bing, it doesn't matter, but it's true, right? Think about it. Do consumers go through your online experience, your mobile experience? No, right? If you wanted to buy a red Revlon lipstick at Macy's, what do? Right? I know you go to Macy's and you choose women, and you go into beauty and makeup and lipstick, and no, of course not. You don't do a search box. You type in red Revlon lipstick, Macy's, enter. That first search result, you click on it, you go over to a Macy's page. It better be red Revlon lipstick, right? If not, you're gone, right? One of the biggest metrics you know about in analytics is something called the bounce rate. The percentage of people who came onto the site and bounced off. There's a scientific definition for the bounce rate that Avinash likes to give. Avinash's official definition of the bounce rate is I came, I puked, and I left. All right, your website was so bad and miserable that they didn't even give you a measly click. They just failed, they left. We're doing so many things in these social spaces, but we're not engendering this world where our homes, our destinations, our websites, our mobile sites, etc., are really every page as the home page. It's an important lesson to know in the social world. People don't drive through. Someone sends the direct link, and that's the opportunity for you to create that brand impression and to push it forward. And so when I look at the macro world of marketing, I get sick to my stomach because I can't believe the model. The model is still, man, maybe 20% goes digital out of the ad budget or the marketing budget. That's crazy, right? But think about this, right? I mean, I've been up here for like 40 minutes. Do you know that thousands of people who have gone online and asked about your product or service or your competitors, or better yet, forget both of those. How many people went online and had a question that your product or service can actually fulfill for them, and they don't even know you're out there? Are you there? No, you know what? Let's take billboards and hope people see our brand and I'm not making fun of branding or recall, but right now, in a post-recession world like we're in, this is craziness. I would much rather sit and be there when people are saying, I need a digital strategy, I need to redo our site, we need whatever, than be randomly walking the streets of Boston hoping people need something that I'm selling. It's pretty basic sales, isn't it? And yet we put no responsibility within the marketing budget onto this world. It's crazy to me, and it makes me nuts, as you can obviously plainly see. And then brands will come forward and say, but we're evolving, right? We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook, we're doing all this stuff, and the truth of the matter is, while you may be on Twitter and Facebook, for the most part, the majority of people aren't leveraging the channel in a unique and interesting way. What they're doing is supplanting their marketing budget with another budget, and they're just pumping their crap into that engine too. And it works for some people. There are many, many Twitter feeds of brands that just post their sales and their opportunities, and people love that stuff, there's no doubt. But there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity to connect, to create these real interactions between real human beings. And the brands that actually evolve are the brands that understand these relationships and do what they can to help bring their consumers together and connect them, because they are connected, right? And they're using these tools. And so you really have to think in that strategy of one line of connectivity. What does this new consumer look like? How do they interact? How will they interact? And what are we doing to really make that a great experience for people? And how do we push that forward? So I thought I would end by just walking you through what I call my 6 points of separation, or 6 things that I just want you to think about as you go to start drinking and get totally smashed in Boston. Point number 1 is pure acceptance. This is happening. Tomorrow we will not wake up and the only way we get our news is rolled up on our doorstep, or the only way we see it is at 5 o'clock on the flashing TV. No, this is the toothpaste that's out of the tube. We're not going back. If you thought that the web looked pretty impressive up to now, watch and see how these mobile and touch devices change the game entirely, again, in a much faster and shorter way. When this becomes your wallet and everything else, everything changes. People call them phones, and I'm like, phones? 10 years ago, I was doing mobile content, and we used to say that this isn't a phone, this is a remote control for your life. And if you fast forward to where we're at today, it essentially is that, isn't it? I mean, this is the remote control for your life. And if you don't think this is going to be implicitly tied to money and how you spend that, well, the door's over there, I guess, and we can talk about it outside. The second point is also really important because a lot of my peers get up and talk digital only, mobile, web, touch. Forget all the traditional stuff. That's not true.